Electro Demon.
Good thing there are two Spider-Men now.
Good luck.
Thanks, MJ.
Might need the new tech we've been cooking up too.
No way. They're untested. Barely prototypes.
But you brought them, right?
No comment.
Spider-Man 2 is a brand new game from the Sony-owned studio Insomniacs Games. This is a PlayStation 5 exclusive game, but maybe it'll get released on the PC in a year or two. This was one of the most anticipated games of the year, and it's an extremely high-profile game. Did it deliver? Well, in some aspects it did. This is kinda the same game as the first one, but with tweaks and additions in terms of gameplay. The story revolves around two Spider-Men, the OG Spider-Man Peter Parker and his protege Spider-Man Miles Morales. The story picks up after the events of the first game. It's hard to talk about the story without spoiling things, so I'll keep it brief. Basically, there's a new threat in town in the form of Kraven, legendary hunter with amazing strength. The job of the two Spider-Men is to neutralize Kraven's hunters and Kraven himself. But then all of a sudden Pete gets infected with this mysterious alien, let's call it disease, that gives him even more superpowers, and all of a sudden the narrative changes and you're dealing with this. Then also later on, this mysterious disease gets your friend infected and it's your job to rid him of this disease. It's a phenomenally written and executed story with exceptional voice work and animation work. The plot is very interesting to follow, but there are some problems. First off, there's way too much virtue signaling in this game. There's this one scene where Peter gets offered a job in this tech company and your friend, Harry, who runs this company, kinda shows you around and wants you to work for him. He said that he hired diverse people in his company. Like, it's a fucking tech company, who gives a shit about diversity? Shouldn't you be hiring people based on their skill? There's also the glaring issue with Miles. He's black and of course his mom had to be, I think, Puerto Rican. Because diversity, bro. I don't like this shit shoved in my face. I had a problem with Miles in the first game and I have a problem with his character in Spider-Man 2. I think his character was created being black just for diversity's sake and SJW's sake. Let's talk about the gameplay. This is a third-person action game with New York being your sandbox for you to play in. You can swing your webs to traverse the city, and also the new thing is you can glide. Both Spider-Man have web wings now. They're great to use and make the traversal faster. This game has a fast travel system and I never once used it. This just shows you how fun it is to swing around town with your webs and wings. It's really that fun. There's also a lot of combat in this game and it's a cool combat system. Basically it's inspired by the Batman Arkham series but with its own spin on the formula. You can attack, throw stuff, dodge, parry, use your gadgets and plethora of other cool things. It's not a particularly challenging combat system, but it's fun as hell. There's also finishers you can perform on enemies by pressing circle and triangle, and they made it look cinematic as fuck. The OG Spider-Man also has some new symbiote abilities, and you can activate these with L1 and X, circle, square and triangle. These attacks are very powerful and take some time to recharge. You can also use your gadgets in combat like Web Grabber, Concussion Burst and a few others. Miles also has his own abilities, but they share the gadgets. Both characters have a Rage mode, who you activate by pressing R3 and L3, and in this mode you deal an insane amount of damage. The combat is extremely fun. You can also upgrade your powers and gadgets, but this will require you to have city tokens, hero tokens, tech parts, etc. You get these components by doing side missions, crimes in progress and various other side activities. There's a lot of them. I think the best side missions were the flame missions, where you have to stop this fire cult. Miles also has a solid side mission in the form of catching bandits who stole instruments from the music museum in Harlem. Side missions are very good, for the most part. There's also a lot of hunter outposts, basically outposts similar to Far Cry outposts. One is okay, but doing all of these is just tedious. Luckily, it's optional. I forgot to mention that there's also stealth in this game, not just fighting. It's really good. You lurk from the above, you can do perch takedowns, and there's a new addition in the form of web lines. Basically, you can create your own web line and walk over them. This makes it really fun. I felt like an apex predator in these stealth sections. There were a lot of forced walking segments in this game. Like, bitch, I don't wanna walk. I get that they were trying to do this to amplify the story, but making this forced is just bullshit. There's one of the most annoying things I've seen recently in a game, and this game has that. 3-phase boss fights for every single fucking boss. I mean, it would have been cool if they did it for the last boss, but every single goddamn boss. My god, this was fucking annoying. There was this instant where you fight one boss 4 times. 4 goddamn times. And there's almost no variation in these fights. Some bosses have different attacks or forms in each phase, but most of them it's the same goddamn boss 3 times in a row. Why the fuck would I want to fight someone 3 goddamn times? I mean, I get that they were trying to make every boss encounter epic, but this is not the goddamn way. This annoyed the living Jesus out of me. There's also a lot of set pieces involving quick time events, and these were a thing to behold. Very high quality, very cinematic and fun. I really applaud Insomniac for these sections. If you were to do just main missions, the game would last you around 13 hours. With some side content, it took me a bit over 20 hours. If you were to do every single side story and side content, I'd say you're looking over 30 hours. Some missions require a specific character, even main missions. But for a lot of the side content you can play with any Spider-Man you want. You can change from one Spider-Man to another in a matter of seconds, like in GTA 5. It's very fast. Graphically speaking, Spider-Man 2 looks beautiful. It's a gorgeous game that manages a smooth frame rate and solid visuals. Textures are sharp, the world detail is nice and shadows are great. There's even some ray tracing in the game, and this does enhance the visuals a lot. Especially in indoor sections. Indoor sections really look fucking awesome. There's fidelity and performance mode. And there's also even a mode that is something in between. Fidelity targets 30 FPS and all ray tracing features are on. I think this mode does look better, but it was unplayable for me. I just can't play at 30 FPS. I played in the performance mode, 60 FPS. All ray tracing features are on, but are simplified in some cases. And also, pedestrian and car density is a bit decreased to achieve that 60 FPS target. I really like this mode, it looked great in 4K with my HDR TV. Now I doubt that it's rendering at 4K internally, but I have no problem with checkerboarding or upscaling a lower resolution to a higher one, I'm fine with that. The point of the story is, no matter what mode you select, it's really gonna look great. Insomniac did a really fine job here. If you're in for a high quality, high production, action sandbox game, well, you're gonna love Spider-Man 2. It's a great game with minor annoyances like some virtue signaling and mandatory 3-phase fucking boss fights, but other than that, it's a very high quality game. A sequel that really fucking delivered. If I had to give a score to this game, I'd give it 8.1 out of 10.